It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Chicka, chicka, boom, boom. It's the Leo Be the Lion show. Boom, boom. Gonna tell you what you need to know. Boom, boom. Now here comes your boy Leo. Hey everybody, it's your boy Leo Be the Lion, and I'm coming to you live from Respectable Street on subcultureradio.com here on Clematis in beautiful West Palm Beach, Florida. We got a regular Chamber of Commerce, West Palm Beach, Florida afternoon out here. It's about 89, 90 degrees, but if you're in the shade and got a little breeze going, you're feeling good. But this weekend, not so much. We had a little bit of tornado activity, and before I get into that, let's talk about where you can reach me. I am Leo B. the Lion, and you can find me on IG or YouTube at Leo B. the Lion Show. I come to you every Monday from Respectable Street, recording via subcultureradio.com from 6 to 7 p.m., and then I post the videos. We record live, and we post the videos after on my YouTube channel at Leo B. the Lion Show. I answer all my commenters, or if you have any questions or feedback, I'll answer that on the YouTube channel or on my IG. Get at me. So let's talk about what happened over the weekend. On Friday, first, before I mention the weather that we had, and before I get into the sports over the weekend, it was a lot of games. We had a game 7. There's a cute pup outside, a good doggo outside, and we always appreciate our furry friends. And so on Friday, I played Dungeons and Dragons with my buddies, and we have this group that we try to get together every month to play Dungeons and Dragons. And what I must say about this session was that our DM, if you see this, take it easy on me, man, but he tried for a TPK, or the Turtle Party Kill. He tried to take care of all of us. I'm the tank in the group. That means I'm like up front trying to fight on everybody, take on everybody. And he basically took care of me. I was the first 3 rounds I was down, but someone cast Cure Wounds on me, and I was able to survive. And so it was a fun D&D session with my friends, just showing you the softer side of Sears, if you will, the softer side of Leo Be the Lion, coming at you. I do things besides sports, like play Dungeons and Dragons. So on Friday, that was a good night. And on Saturday morning with my girl, went up to City Diner. We had some good breakfast there. City Diner's a cool place. They have like little old stuff around, and they have street signs in it. It's kind of like they have a lot of pieces of flair. But it's good breakfast. And then then on Saturday, the final rounds of the draft were happening, and so I went to my buddy's house to check out the draft and chill with him. He's a Dolphins fan, so we had a good time. But then on Sunday, and over the weekend, there had been a tornado that hit in Boynton that caused a little bit of damage. And then Saturday night and into Sunday, there was tornadoes in the morning, and that caused a tornado warning for a lot of Palm Beach County, especially the northern part of Palm Beach County from Lantana north. They experienced severe weather and tornado warning, as well as in Palm Beach County, they had a E2 tornado touchdown, and they had winds about 130 miles per hour that they clocked in Palm Beach Gardens. Now, I hope everybody was able to stay safe. I knew a couple people that went through it, and they just had a little damage to their house. But they were able to be safe, thankfully. And so I hope everybody made it through. Yeah, you can replace cars, property, but you can't replace lives. So I hope everybody was safe, was saved in those tornadoes. Then we had the Heat and the Warriors take care of business. The Warriors got a Game 7 over the weekend, and they were able to take that Game 7 against the Sacramento Kings because they are the veterans. And when you come, they're the championship veteran team where They know what it is to win a championship. They know how to go up and down. They know how to. They've had their heart broken in the playoffs before, whereas the Kings had not, but up until now. So now, the Kings now have that notch under their belt where they know how to lose into the playoffs. So that's part of learning how to win in the NBA playoffs. And so the Kings were lost, and the Heat were able to take Game 1 against the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden, in the mecca of NBA basketball. In the mecca of basketball, they were able to take down the Knicks 108-101, and I'll get more into that later in the Leo Be the Lion show. Before also switching to the sports, I just want to say one more thing about reaction videos. Okay, guys, at first they were funny. Sometimes they're funny. If you have a funny reaction, you make a funny face and, you have a reaction. But there's no point of doing a 45-second besides getting likes, and it's very, to get the algorithm working in your favor, it's kind of silly. But, I guess don't hate the player, hate the game in the situation. But, yeah, reaction videos are where somebody will post a video of something controversial or something like a procedure of how to do things, and on the other half of the video will just show a person reacting to it. And so you'll have like a 45-minute, a 45-second video of somebody making spaghetti, let's just say. And on the other side, the other person will just be doing faces like this. And just like making faces and rolling their eyes or however they're doing about making spaghetti. And it's just silly to me, and y'all look crazy. But I understand sometimes people do it, and that's okay, because it's like, it's a thing, and it shows your opinion. And I just think that it's just a funny trend that we have to do the reaction videos. It's like, it's kind of cringy. It can be cringy sometimes, and it's not really funny. Like, yeah, some of them, there is, I've laughed at generally a couple of them, but you have to be able to make the right face, the timing, the comedic timing. Not very many people have for those videos. So just something I wanted to mention, that reaction videos, I hope they go the way of the dodo. So now let's get into our South Florida sports. I want to talk about, for a second, the hockey team that we have. Yes, the Florida Panthers are in the playoffs, and they were able to take down the Boston Bruins last night with a final score of 4-3 in overtime. They upset the Boston Bruins in 7 games. The Boston Bruins were the President's Trophy winner, and that means you win the award, or the President's Award winner. That means you win the award for having the best record or scoring the most points in the league. And so they were basically the overall number 1 seed. They were down 3-1, the Panthers were, and they were down 1 with a minute left to go in the third period, which is the last period in hockey, for those who don't know. And they were able to, and in hockey, this is a strategy where you can have an empty net, where you can take your goalie out of the net, and it adds an extra puck handler. And so they did that. The Panthers were going empty net. They were able to score 6-on-5, and they were able to score with about 57 seconds left to force OT against the Boston Bruins in Boston. And they were able to, in overtime, score the sudden death victory. Verhaeghe scored. And I'm really excited for the Florida Panthers. They will be moving on to play the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's a hockey team, and I ain't not no hockey team. That's a Lil Wayne line, but they are playing the Toronto Maple Leafs on the 2nd of May, which is tomorrow at 7 p.m. So Game 1 starts. I like the Panthers to win in this, but I'll get in there because I'll get into it later because that's in my hashtag 5-pack of picks, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we'll see how we did last week, and I'll give you a fresh set of picks for this week. Now, after talking about the Cats, the Florida Panthers, let's get loud now. We had the NFL draft. The 2023 NFL draft happened, ladies and gentlemen, and it was a doozy, I must say. And it's not, I don't think it's recency bias to say that it was a historic draft, and I'll get into it a little bit more, where I'm going to go through the top 12 picks because I think they were important, and then I'm going to go over who the Dolphins drafted, give you some notable first rounders, and little surprises that happened. So the first pick that we all knew that we were, ladies and gentlemen, I just saw breaking news via ESPN that Joel Embiid is out for Game 1 against the Boston Celtics tonight. That's Joel Embiid is out for Game 1 again in the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Boston Celtics tonight. So it looks like the 76ers will be out without their leading scorer, without the league's leading scorer. So the NFL draft, number one, we know that the Panthers were going to take Bryce Young. The Panthers are setting up their team to only need the quarterback, where they have a pretty good defense, and their offense, they did lose DJ Moore to the Chicago Bears, but they will have they have their quarterback of the future now. They have their franchise quarterback in Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young, barring any injury, will be a great quarterback for years to come in the National Football League and for the Panthers. Now, if we get to the second pick, that's where things actually started happening. The Texans. If you remember on last week's show, or if you remember on other analysts' mock drafts, people were expecting the Texans to pick a defensive player with the number 2 pick. However, the Texans shocked everybody and picked C.J. Stroud at number 2. And then for the third pick, they traded up with the Cardinals, who traded out of that third pick. So the Texans picked C.J. Stroud. Many thought that they were going to ride with Davis Mills and probably try to pick up a free agent quarterback and see how they could do, but they picked up C.J. Stroud. The Texans have been making smart, savvy decisions there in the entire offseason. They were able to get Dameon Pierce, re-sign him. They were able to pick up other players like Robert Woods, who's like a low-key guy. Guys, things that are under the radar, but the players know how to perform and do their job very well. And that's what you want as a football team, is because if you have all 11 guys on one side of the ball doing their job, that play is probably pretty successful if they all accomplish their job and do their job well. So the Texans picked up C.J. Stroud. Then they were able to trade into the Cardinals pick at number 3, and the Cardinals traded down, and the Texans picked up Will Anderson Jr. at number 3, and that was the pick that the Texans were suspected to draft prior to the draft starting. So far we have Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and then Will Anderson Jr. Many people at number 4, the Colts had the number 4 pick. Many people and many analysts projected Will Levis to go in this spot, or for the Colts to draft defense, or not very many people had Anthony Richardson on their radar. I didn't, but respect to Anthony Richardson. He got drafted number 4 to the Colts, and he went at 4 over Will Levis. We thought Will Levis was going to be drafted early in these top rounds, and that quarterbacks were going to be drafted in the first round. However, it was mainly a run on quarterbacks in the first 4 picks. We saw the first 3 out of 4 quarterbacks. 3 out of 4 picks were quarterbacks. However, no other quarterbacks went in the first round, which was surprising. Now let's take a look at the 5th pick in the draft, and that was the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks, people thought that they may get Anthony Richardson or may take a flyer on Bijan Robinson early. However, the Seattle Seahawks went with Deion Witherspoon, defensive back. Some suspect the number 2 or number 1 rated back, depending on who you ask, with Christian Gonzalez, number 1 and number 2 rated defensive back in the draft. Seattle Seahawks picked up Deion Witherspoon, the defensive back out of Illinois, who's a good coverage back, and he's big. He's a larger size corner, I believe. I could be entirely wrong, but from what I'm remembering, I think he's about 6'1", and he packs a little punch, so he can play bump and run, or he can cover downfield. Then with the next pick, the Cardinals, who had traded down, got Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State, the offensive tackle. Look for Paris Johnson Jr. to be a welcomed addition by Kyler Murray and the Cardinals' offense. Kyler Murray has been injured these past 2 seasons, not the entire season, but he's missed games these past couple seasons because he is of a smaller frame, and he is one of those shorter quarterbacks. And it's no slight to him. You know, you can't change your height, but, well, you can. I could get into that. In fact, let me get into that. Some guy paid like $187,000 or more to do plastic surgery to basically insert 2 metal rods into his femurs, and basically he would have limb lengthening. His limbs would be stretched 3 times a day, and I think that involved breaking the bones. So just you can get taller, but it's not worth it, dude. Like, just be confident in who you are, man. So back to the draft. The Cardinals got Paris Johnson Jr. to protect Kyler Murray and to bolster that Cardinals offensive line. Paris Johnson Jr. is a mammoth of a human being, and he will be ready to play, and he will be a plug-and-play player. If you get an offensive tackle, you expect them to be one of your tackles for years to come. Then the next pick in the draft was the Las Vegas Raiders. I almost said Oakland Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders got Tyree Wilson, the defensive end out of Texas Tech University. He's a good player. He performed well at the combine, and the Raiders, although they don't have a quarterback of the future, they didn't take a flyer on Will Levis. They went the defensive side of the ball. They decided, all right, let's go defense. Let's see what we can do with our offense and just with our running game on offense, and then play good defense. The Raiders are trying to change their identity as we speak. Then, one of the surprises of the draft, in my opinion, I didn't think he would go this high, but Bijan Robinson. Yes, Bijan Robinson, the top-rated running back and the number 2 rated overall player in the draft, got drafted number 8 to the Atlanta Falcons. Normally, running backs don't go this high, save for Saquon Barkley in the recent draft, in recent memory of running backs going that high. But Bijan Robinson is one of those players that he will come in, he can catch it out of the backfield. He's the perfect, he's strong, he can break tackles, and he's lightning quick and fast. So he has the total package when it comes to a running back, and it looks like he will be the Falcons running back for years to come. I like what the Falcons are doing. They're staying true to their identity. If you think back to the Falcons for years had good running backs, and you could count on their running backs to perform well. So they just are trying to continue that with Bijan Robinson. Then we had the Eagles trade up to get Jalen Carter, and Jalen Carter is from Georgia. He is one of the best athletes in this draft, and counting this draft and last year's draft, the Eagles have now drafted 5 players from the University of Georgia, and the University of Georgia have won the last 2 national championships. So Georgia is Philadelphia Eagles are looking like the Georgia Bulldogs of North. The Georgia Bulldogs are going to start growing wings and turn into Eagles. No, this is not an Animorphs book. So the Eagles traded up, and then they got another pick in the first round and got Nolan Smith, linebacker out of Georgia. Did we mention that they like to draft players from the University of Georgia? They do. Then the next pick in the draft, the Bears guard Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, to help protect Justin Fields a little bit more. I like this pick out of Tennessee. I like this pick because Justin Fields go, the Bears go. He's capable of winning you 4 games by himself. That's why he needs at least, he's good for 4 games if he's healthy, like just to will teams. So he needs to be protected. And then the Titans picked Peter Skronsky, offensive tackle out of Northwestern. So obviously I like this pick from the Titans. They are trying to get somebody to protect. At this point in the draft, you think, okay, the Titans are trying to get somebody to protect Ryan Tannehill or protect their quarterback, whoever it's going to be going forward in the future. Then the Lions, go Lions, they selected Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama, the running back out of Alabama. And you got to think, if the Falcons would not have drafted Bijan Robinson and he would have fell to the Lions probably would have pulled the trigger and drafted Bijan Robinson because he is the better running back, better than Jahmyr Gibbs. But let's see how they play, how their professional careers play out. I think the Eagles were going to be happy either getting Bijan Robinson or Jalen Carter, but I think they wanted to bolster their D-line just to make it even younger and stronger. So let's see what the draft holds for them. Other notable first-rounders that I just wanted to mention was the highly touted receiver coming out of Ohio State, Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's lightning fast, and he went to Seattle at 20. So now we have Jackson Smith-Njigba on one side, and then we have, his name escapes me, DK Metcalf on the other side for Geno Smith to throw to. So that's pretty good weapons. Then we have Christian Gonzalez, the defensive back out of Oregon, who represented Columbia. He has Colombian roots, so shout out to him. He represented Columbia with his draft day outfit when he opened up his suit. The inner lining was the Colombian flag, so you got to love that. And then he went number 15 to the Patriots. And so it's just dangerous because the Patriots got better, the Jets got better, the Bills got better. I don't know if the Dolphins got better. I'll let you decide, but let me give you the Dolphins draft picks now. Oh, yes, and before I mention the Dolphins draft picks, I have to mention that Will Levis, the quarterback, the highly touted quarterback, and some thought that he was going to be top 5 pick quarterback out of Kentucky, did not get drafted in the first round. He got drafted 33rd overall by Tennessee. So now it looks like Tennessee has their left tackle in Peter Skronsky, and then they have their quarterback in Will Levis out of Kentucky. Let's see how Tennessee Titans do. So that was another surprise that in the first round of the draft. Let's take a look at the Dolphins draft picks. They only had 4 picks, the second round pick, a third round pick, a 6th, and a 7th round pick. So there wasn't much to get at, but hopefully the Dolphins were able to get some value out of these picks. In the second round, the Dolphins were able to get the the 7th rated corner in the draft, 7th rated defensive back in Cam Smith, South Carolina defensive back, who's a reliable cover corner in college. He's 6'1", which is a little tall for a corner, but it's great that he has some extra size, and he's about 180, so he will be battling for the nickel corner spot. He will, to whoever guards that slot receiver, he will be battling for that in his position. But also, Xavier Howard has been hurt the past couple years where he has missed a couple games. So look for him to be that next man up, be in the depth chart for Xavier Howard, or Xavier Howard need a blow and they were coming up, because the Dolphins do have a couple corners coming back, like Trill Williams and Kader Kohu, who's going to be a sophomore player, who was a surprise player and the number 1 rookie corner besides Sauce Gardner. So now, in the third round, the Dolphins were able to draft Devin Achane from Texas A&M. He's a fast speed running back at 5'9", 188. So he's pretty strong. He's 188 at 5'9". That means you kind of got to be stocky. And then he's a speed back who, he's going to add more speed and shiftiness to the Dolphins' backfield than they already have, which is a lot. And he's a perfect scheme fit for Coach McDaniel. I can't wait to see him in Achane in the preseason, see if he breaks any runs, and see if he becomes that third down back and or the second string running back and beats out some veterans. We shall see. Then in the 6th round, the Dolphins were able to get Elijah Higgins from a wide receiver out of Stanford. They got these later rounds, you take flyers on guys, and the Dolphins were able to also sign a bunch of undrafted free agents, which is good. But they drafted Elijah Higgins in the 6th round out of Stanford. He stands at 6'3", 235, and hopefully he can come in and make the team one, but also contribute in terms of being a possession receiver. Maybe if we need a clutch first down or we need a big target in the end zone, he might be able to be that guy standing at 6'3". We shall see. Then the Dolphins' final draft pick was the 7th round. They took a tackle out of a school known to produce offensive linemen, and that is the University of Michigan. The University of Michigan has a long line of producing offensive linemen. Shout out to Dan Deerdorf, Hall of Famer. Ryan Hayes out of Michigan is 6'6", 298 pounds, so he's tall, but he's lean, and hopefully he can come in and contribute and be, at first, maybe a second stringer, and then if he can make the team, he can push the other tackles to play better, and the guards if he can switch positions. We shall see. I'm excited for the Dolphins to come up this year. We have a great team already. We were able to not really make much room. We made a couple of little noise, little shouts, and little whispers on the free agency. Now the draft, we got these 4 guys. But after June, we're going to free up some cap after the June 1st cuts. We're going to free up some cap, and let's see what the Dolphins can do after that. Now, let's shift gears from the egg-shaped ball to a round rock to a round ball. That's the NBA playoffs here on the Leo B. the Lion show. Coming to you live from Respectable Street via subcultureradio.com here on Clematis in beautiful West Palm Beach, Florida. And I come to you live from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern every Monday here at Respectable Street. And you can also see my videos once I post them on YouTube at Leo B. the Lion Show. And follow me on IG at Leo B. the Lion Show. I really appreciate it. And I post my videos there, post clips, post links, and also just my general goings on. So enjoy. Now let's get to the NBA playoffs. The next round has begun. The conference semifinal round has begun, and there's a couple upsets happened in the first round. Let me fill you in, and we'll get to it. So the conference semifinals are up next. Let's get to the Eastern Conference first. What happened in the Eastern Conference, Leo B. the Lion? Well, let me tell you. The Eastern Conference, the Eastern Conference semifinals now are the Miami Heat versus the Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Boston Celtics. Now, for the Heat versus the Knicks, the Heat being the 8 seed and the Knicks being the 5 seed, let me tell you how they got there. The Heat upset the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks, the overall number 1 seed, 4-1, behind a historic playoff performance by Jimmy, a.k.a. Buckets, a.k.a. Jimmy Buckets, a.k.a. Himmy Buckets, a.k.a. Jimmy Butler. Historic performance by Jimmy Butler. He dropping a Heat playoff high and a career high, career playoff high, 56 points in a victory to upset the Bucks 4-1 and move on to the Eastern Conference semifinals. The Knicks, on the other hand, also were able to win by gentleman's sweep, but they upset the 4 seed Cleveland Cavaliers or Cleveland Cavaliers, surprisingly, in 5 games. I did not think that the Knicks' recipe of playing defense and Jalen Brunson doing his thing and then Julius Randle doing his thing could beat the Cavs, but I was wrong. So the Knicks versus the Heat, the Knicks have the home court advantage being the 5 seed over the 8. And let's look for Game 1 was yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 was on Sunday, 4:30. That's April 30th. And the Heat won that game 108-101 thanks to a couple of things. Well, Julian Randle was a scratch because of his ankle wasn't fully healed yet. Then Butler and the Heat outplayed the Knicks down the stretch. The Knicks went into halftime with a 5-point lead, leading 55-50, and the Heat were poised to try to come back. Well, in the third quarter, the Knicks kind of grew their lead just a little bit, but the Heat started getting close to tying it up. Then when the Heat in the fourth quarter, where it was close and the Knicks were trying to make a run, having the veteran presence and the championship presence of Kyle Lowry made all the difference. I was watching the game, and I was watching the game with my girl, and I was like, every possession, the Heat need to go through Kyle Lowry, and then if they get the ball to Jimmy Butler, fine. But in those key possessions down the stretch, maybe last 5 minutes in the ball game, when the Knicks were trying to come back, when the Knicks were trying to get defensive stops, and you needed a player, a point guard that has been there before and wouldn't get rattled, but also could get a couple steals and try to get a timely jump ball when you needed, and to make a couple plays on offense and defense. That is one. Oh, Kyle Lowry. That is one Kyle Lowry. So Kyle Lowry's veteran presence on the Heat helped them push them through and close out the fourth quarter against the Knicks and take game one against the Knicks 108-101. Then you have the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Boston Celtics, and it's a classic rivalry renewed from the 60s all the way, from the 80s all the way to the todays. They have had a rivalry in the playoffs between the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers from when Bobby Jones was on the Sixers and Dr. J to now when Joel Embiid and James Harden are on the Sixers. They've played Celtics teams like Larry Bird and Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, and now they're playing Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Al Horford. So how did they get there? How did they get to the Eastern Conference semifinals? Well, the number 2 seed Boston beat the Hawks in 6 games when it really could have been 5, but Trae Young hit a game winner in game 5 with 1.4 seconds left to give the Hawks the victory. The Celtics were basically beating the Hawks the whole game, and the Celtics probably should have won that, but they won in 6 games nonetheless. And Philly had no problem beating the starless Brooklyn Nets. The Nets played half the season with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant on their team, but then those 2 players requested trades and got away, and so the Nets were no match for Joel Embiid, who was probably going to be the MVP, and James Harden. They swept the Nets 4-0, and it wasn't a total victory because they did have some loss where Joel Embiid's knee got sprained, and he's not expected to miss a lot of time, but you just heard earlier in the Leo Be the Line show that he's expected to miss game 1. It was breaking news that right before the game, this is an hour before tip-off, Joel Embiid is expected to miss the game. If Joel Embiid is healthy, if he can get healthy from games 2 to 7, let's just say, the Sixers have a real shot of beating the Celtics. But if Joel Embiid, the NBA's leading scorer this year, the scoring champ, / he might be the NBA MVP, if he cannot play, James Harden, I don't care how good James Harden plays, he will not be able to will the Sixers to victory against the Boston Celtics. So game 1 is tonight, May 1st at 7:30. I expect a tough series, but it all comes down to the health of Joel Embiid, because if Joel Embiid can be healthy, he can do things that is a traditional big man, but also he can play the new age big man where he can shoot threes and do all that, but he can be that real presence down low for the Sixers to have a chance and compete against the Boston Celtics. We shall see. Tonight is game 1. The Celtics are right now, with Embiid being out, are about 9.5-point favorites, and the over-under is about 214.5. So let's see how that game goes. In the Western Conference, the semifinal shakes out as such, where the two series are the Nuggets, the number 1 seed Nuggets versus the 4-seeded Suns, and then the number 6-seeded Warriors versus the 7-seeded Lakers. So let's get to the first series, which is the number 1 seeded Nuggets versus the Suns. And right off the bat, I expect a hard-fought series. I don't expect either team to run away with this series. Both teams have stars on each end. Both teams have at least 3 stars that can do things on each end. I'm not going to say 3 superstars, but stars. So let's take a look at the Nuggets first. How did they get here? Well, they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 4-1 and in a gentleman's sweep, and the Timberwolves really had no business winning the one game, the lone game. However, Anthony Edwards put the team on his back, and he willed the team to victory, and the the Minnesota Timberwolves took one game versus the Nuggets and had no trouble moving on behind a fully healthy Nuggets squad. The difference between the Nuggets this year and knock on wood is that this year they're fully healthy. They have Michael Porter Jr., who in seasons past they didn't have because he was dealing with back issues. They have Nikola Jokic, who seasons past he was dealing with injuries or he was the only star on the team. Then they also have a healthy Jamal Murray, who the last time we saw Jamal Murray in the playoffs, he was kicking butt in the bubble, but then he tore his ACL, and he hadn't been healthy during the playoffs since then except this year. So the Nuggets are fully healthy, and the Nuggets are looking like a juggernaut. We shall see. They take on the Suns. Well, how did the Suns get to take on the Nuggets? They beat the Clippers 4-1. It would have been a fun series. The Clippers versus Suns series was shaping up to be one of those series where you could see the Clippers upsetting the Suns, the 5 seed beating the 4 seed. Although Paul George wasn't going to play in the series, you were like, okay, well, they still have Kawhi, who's really good, and he actually was able to beat the Suns in Game 1 by himself. And then in Game 2, he proceeded to kind of get hurt. And then Games 3 through 5, he missed. And the only game that the Clippers won was with Kawhi when he was healthy. And it was one of those series where you said to yourself, okay, the Clippers have no chance now as soon as Kawhi went out. If Kawhi can't play and PG-13 can't play, you know they're not going to be in there. So the Clippers got bounced in 5 games by the Suns. And then we had Game 1 on Saturday night. Denver beat the Phoenix Suns 125-107 as the Nuggets really looked like they were in championship form. They have their other teammates play defense, but Nikola Jokic, he doesn't really play that much defense. But when you have a healthy Jamal Murray, who's really taken on his guard role really well, he's a great shooting guard. You have Jamal Murray, then you have a tall wing player is Michael Porter Jr., and then you have Nikola Jokic, who is a walking triple-double at center. That's a recipe, and the 2-time defending MVP, that's a recipe for success. So the Denver Nuggets at home really look like they were poised to get to the championship, winning 125-107. But Game 2 is tonight, and I fully expect the Phoenix Suns to bounce back this game. KD, had a very efficient game last game in Game 1, but he was the only Suns player to really do anything that game. Devin Booker didn't really show up. Chris Paul didn't really show up big. Neither did DeAndre Ayton. So expect the Suns to bounce back and the Nuggets to just continue being the Nuggets and say, come on, we're going to try to play our way of basketball and see if you can try to beat us. Ayton, Booker, and Paul have to do more because KD can't do everything. They got him to be the finishing touch, to be the nail in the coffin. They didn't get him to be the funeral. You know what I'm saying? They got him to just be the finest, the icing on the cake. They didn't get him to be the cake. So the Suns need to play better. The Suns stars need to play better and help KD out. And as for the Nuggets, the health is key. Let's see what the Nuggets can do. If they can continue to shine, stay healthy, because as long as they're healthy, they're going to be a tough out. They're not a paper champion anymore, in my eyes. I think the Nuggets are for real this year. Let's move on to the next matchup. That is the 6th-seeded Warriors versus the 7th-seeded Lakers. And you might be saying to yourself, 6 versus 7 in the second round of the playoffs? Well, yeah, let's show you how they got there. First of all, let's just celebrate that it's going to be Steph Curry versus LeBron James again. 2 superstars, 2 all-time players going at against each other in a conference matchup, in a playoff matchup. That is what you ask for as a sports fan. You want to see the best play the best. So that's what you want. And it's the Lakers versus the Warriors, ladies and gentlemen. But it's in the West. So let's see how they got there. The Lakers were able to dispatch the Memphis Grizzlies and their trash-talking behinds in 6 games. 1, because Ja Morant had a hurt hand, so he wasn't the same. And the Grizzlies were too naive, and they were too young to go deep in the playoffs. In the NBA, more than any sport, an upstart team just doesn't come and just show up and win and go straight and run through everybody and just win the championship if they're really young. So you got to kind of learn how to lose. You got to kind of learn how to win and take your lumps in the NBA playoffs. And so the Memphis Grizzlies just weren't ready yet. They're too young. And the Lakers were able to use the matchups where nobody had an answer for AD and LeBron in the post, and they were able to use that to their advantage. So the Lakers moved on in 6 games against the Grizzlies. Then the Warriors had a hard-fought 7-game series against the Kings, but Steph Curry in a closeout Game 7 on the road, ladies and gentlemen. This was just electrifying yesterday to see. On the road, Steph Curry drops 50 points on the road, and 50 Cent has been affiliated with the Kings, the Sacramento Kings. So to see for Steph Curry to drop 50 on 50's head and say after the game was over, light the beam, to make fun of what the Kings celebrate, that was awesome to see. And it wasn't really trash talking because he backed it up. Also, for you bettors out there, if there's ever comes down to a winner-take-all matchup, bet on the championship pedigree. Bet on the veterans. Bet on the team that's been there before, because more often than not, those teams are going to come out on top, and that's exactly, always bet on the experience in Game 7. The Warriors have 4 rings, and they could get 5 this year. Let's see what happens. So Game 1 for the next round for the Warriors and Lakers is tomorrow, Tuesday, 5/2 at 10 p.m., and I expect this series to go 6 or 7 games. But the Warriors to come out on top. I really think that and believe that LeBron James is going to will the Lakers to at least 6 or 7 games, and he's going to try to push AD to get the most out of AD and the Lakers role players. But the Warriors have a lot of players that do their job excellently well. Kevon Looney can rebound like nobody's business. He might be the best rebounder in the NBA today, especially after the Warriors were able to out-rebound. And the Warriors, just to tell you, had 13 offensive rebounds in the third quarter alone, and usually 13 offensive rebounds is like a full game total for a team. So they have Kevon Looney, who knows how to rebound and play defense. They have Steph Curry, who's the best shooter of all time. They have Klay Thompson, who might be the best spot-up shooter of all time. And they have Draymond Green, who's the best glue guy of all time. So they have the role players. They know how to play, and they have the stars. So I expect the Warriors to come out on top, and they match up better. And the Lakers don't match up as well against the Warriors than they did against the Memphis Grizzlies, where they could use their size to their advantage. So I have a new prediction for the finals and beyond. I had the Bucks versus the Suns for the for the NBA Finals, but now for the conference finals in the East, I have Heat versus Boston, and then in the West, I have the Warriors versus Suns. Now you might say, well, why wouldn't you pick the Denver Nuggets, the number 1 seed Nuggets? But yeah, it's like, yeah, I think Jokic, Murray, Porter Jr., they're all great, but I believe that Booker, Paul, KD, they get it done, and they beat the Nuggets. The Nuggets haven't won anything, and the Suns haven't won anything, but KD has won 2 championships. The Suns have been to the NBA Finals with their as they're currently constructed, save for KD. So I believe, and like I said, when it comes down to it, when their backs are against the wall, count on the team that has the more pedigree, the more championships, the more experience. When it comes down to it, if you're betting on a team, if you think which team's going to win, which team has the more experience, which team has the stars, which team has the championship pedigree, that's who you want to go with. That's why I'm taking in the conference finals the Warriors versus the Suns and not the Nuggets in space of the Suns. And then as far as the Warriors versus the Lakers, like I mentioned just a moment ago, I really think that and believe that the Warriors have the championship pedigree. Yeah, they're going against LeBron and the Lakers, but I don't think the Lakers have the weapons, nor do they have the shooters to match with the Warriors. Just real quick, all these guys on the Warriors are shooters. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. Draymond Green can make a 3-point shot if you ask him to. They have so many players that can shoot. Wiggins. I forgot about Wiggins is actually a ball handler and a primary ball handler sometimes. And then you have plenty of other players on the Warriors that can come in and get minutes and log minutes. And they have Gary Payton II, Gary Payton Jr. He is actually a great defender, and he can play ball too. So, give me the Warriors and the Suns in the West, and then I have but now for the East, I have Heat versus Boston. I think the Heat will get past the Knicks, just because on the strength of the Heat having the Heat culture. The Knicks haven't been there before, like I said, and the Knicks are battling with injuries. Yeah, the Heat, Tyler Hero is out with a broken hand, and Jimmy Butler also rolled his ankle in the last game. He says it's a rolled ankle, so it's gonna be hit or miss. As long as they do the MRI and it's not a bad sprain, he'll be fine. He'll be able to come back stronger than ever. And then give me for the NBA Finals, the Warriors versus Boston, the defending champs, back again against Boston, and we shall see if Boston can take it this time. I want Boston to win, but I think the Warriors could win. The only way the Heat could really get to the NBA Finals is if they steal a game or two well, that's by definition they have to because they don't have home court. But to steal a game or two in Boston, Jimmy Butler would have to have a game out of his mind again, a playoff career high, and they'd have to steal a couple games in Boston just because I really think Boston Celtics at home or on the road are going to get it done. Shout out to the Rangers. I hope the Rangers win tonight. Game 7 against the New Jersey Devils. Shout out to the New York Rangers. And I saw somebody with a hockey sweater on, so I just wanted to shout them out real quick. Give you now the hashtag 5-pack of picks, my recap, let you know where my record stands, and then I'll give you a new set of 5-pack of picks for this week. So the first one was that last week I had the Celtics, the Cavs, the Lakers, and the Yankees, and the Marlins to win, and I went 2-3. The Celtics lost, the Cavs lost. I expected the Celtics to beat the Hawks in a gentleman's sweep, but they lost. I expected the Cavs to take Game 5 at home, but they lost to get eliminated. The Lakers won their Game 4 against the Grizzlies and went up 3-1. And then the Yankees won against the against the Guardians. I apologize. And the Marlins lost against the Braves. So now that moved my record after going 2-3 last week, a record of 67 wins, 50 losses, and 2 pushes. We get into pushes more when we have against the spread. But for right now, for this week and for NBA season, I don't really pick games against the spread. I'd rather pick just the money line picks. But for when we get into the NFL games, I will be picking those against the spread like I was last year. So, first game that I have is Game 2, the Heat versus the Knicks. If Julius Randle plays, they'll definitely win. But if Julius Randle doesn't play, I still expect the Knicks to come back and bounce back and get a win at home. I say this because I believe that the Heat are still a very beatable team without Tyler Hero. The Heat played good basketball, safe basketball yesterday where they didn't turn the ball over a lot, and they were able to dull a little bit of the Knicks' shine in Madison Square Garden. But I expect the Knicks to come back with a vengeance and come back Game 2 ready to play, and I think Julius Randle will try to give it a go a little bit more than he did in Game 1, especially since the Knicks lost Game 1. And this right here is probably a must-win for the Knicks to avoid going down 2-0 after you've already done your home court. And then I also think that human nature will come into play. The Heat will probably take their foot off the gas a little bit. I mean, yeah, it's Heat culture, so you're going to kind of play to win the game every time. But Game 2, after you already took Game 1 on the road, you already took back home court. You have you have 3 games now in Miami to go. You probably are like, okay, let's take our foot off the gas. Let's try to get healthy. If there's any question whether Jimmy Butler will play or not, they'll probably sit Jimmy Butler. And that's why I expect for Game 2 on Tuesday night, the Knicks to beat the Miami Heat and tie the series 1-1. Then the next game in my hashtag 5-pack of picks is for tonight's Sixers at Celtics game. I expect the Boston Celtics to take game 1. I did these notes before finding out that breaking news, Joel Embiid will be out tonight with a sprained knee. So give me this. They're not fully healthy. The Sixers and Embiid are not fully healthy and such. Also, Joel Embiid should be the NBA MVP this year. I thought Embiid was going to play, but since he's not playing, that's going to hurt them. And Boston's defense will be too much for James Harden and Tyrese Maxey and them to even have a chance against Boston. So I think Boston will win something like 105-87. Like it'll be a blowout, but it'll be one of those games where the Sixers probably will get hemmed up and jammed up, and the Celtics will probably win one of those. It'll be an Eastern Conference defensive battle because that's just how Eastern Conference matchups usually go. Then let me move to my third pick in my hashtag 5-pack of picks, and that is the late game tonight. That's game 2 for the Suns at the Nuggets. I expect the Suns to win game 2, one, because they're going to try to steal home court. 2, game 1 was a feeling out process for the Suns, and I expect Monty Williams and the Suns coaching staff to make adjustments against Mike Malone and the Denver Nuggets. I believe that the adjustments will be so great that KD won't have to do everything for the Suns, and that Booker and Paul will really step up. Ayton will have a better game defensively against Jokic and against the wing players coming into the paint. The Suns will play a little bit better defense. Now, this is the flip side where the home team won game 1, and so to protect home court, they're going to try to play extra hard to win game 2. So I expect this game to be a doozy and expect this to go down to the wire in the fourth quarter, where somebody will have the last shot to try to win the game. This one will both teams are going to be giving it all that they got, because the Suns don't want to go down 2-2, and the Nuggets don't want to give up home court advantage and tie the series, split home court at 1-1. So my next pick in the hashtag 5-pack of picks is the Warriors versus Lakers game 1. I believe that's Tuesday night or Wednesday. And I think the Warriors ride the wave into the Staples Center, Crypto.com Arena. The Warriors ride the wave of game 7 and go in and beat the Lakers. So give me the Warriors. And I believe that the Warriors will win game 1 just because of this, that the Lakers, now listen, the Lakers could rout the Warriors because the Warriors might be spent from that game 7. But I believe Warriors will be riding the hot hand come game 1. Steph Curry just scored 50. Yeah, he did it on 38 shots, but he willed his team to victory. And Klay Thompson started 1 for 10, but he was able to make several clutch shots, especially at the end of the third quarter. Klay Thompson got fouled and won on a 3-point shot, and he made the free throw for a 4-point play. Give me the Warriors. The Warriors match up well against the Lakers in terms of rebounding, and the Warriors have better shooters throughout the lineup. For the 5th and final pick is the Florida Panthers versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's a hockey team, and I ain't on no hockey team. Game 1, Tuesday, 5-2 at 7 p.m. on the road. The Panthers travel up to Toronto to play. And a fun fact, the Panthers organization has limited teams that if fans try to buy tickets from Toronto, they get denied because they want Florida Panthers fans to pack the arena. So let's try to do that. I just think that the Panthers can come in. They just got the Game 7 victory in overtime. Like the Warriors, ride the hot hand. The Panthers have been on a scoring tear. In the Game 6 win, they scored 7 goals. In the Game 7 victory, they scored 4 goals. I expect the Panthers to come into the Maple Leafs and beat them. The Panthers just beat the President's Award winner, which is the best team in the league, and the Maple Leafs had a hard time against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So go Cats! Let's take that. Wow! And one last thing I want to touch on these last couple minutes on the Leo B. the Lion Show. Follow me on Twitter and YouTube at Leo B. the Lion Show. Is just that if any of you have kids out there or are having kids, this might be for you. And it's just something, it's my opinion that, listen, we only get 18 summers. Or if you're a kid, you only get 18 summers with your parents. if you're lucky. Maybe more if you're lucky also. But you only get 18 summers, and if you have the ability to spend time with your kids, you know, I'd heavily consider that, because those summers are time to bond. It's proven that kids grow more in the summer than they do in the winter. And we only have 18 of those summers, and then they're off living their own lives. And so I just wanted to remind you all out there, if you have any lion cubs, Leo Be the Lion show says to, you know, use your time wisely. If there's an extra 30 minutes where you're exhausted coming home from work, but all they want to do is play outside with you, maybe consider playing outside with them, because those 30 minutes to them is going to mean a whole lot more and pay a lot more dividends to them than it will. You're not going to die. You're not going to die of exhaustion. Just go play the 30 minutes. We only get a limited time on this world, and we only have 18 summers to spend before our children are grown. So kids grow, time moves on, and life is short. I just want everybody to realize that. So this has been Leo Be the Lion, coming to you live from Respectable Street here on Clematis in beautiful West Palm Beach, Florida. Coming to you live on subcultureradio.com. And I will be posting the videos, as I do, on YouTube at Leo Be the Lion Show. Take a follow, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I'll get back to you. This has been Leo Be the Lion. I hope everybody has a great week. Signing off.